quallaboration, and in modus quallaboration we take agile practices, lean methodologies, and social media, build collaborative systems for our clients so that they can achieve the efficiencies of collaboration. I'm going to talk tonight a little bit about recent client engagement we had, somewhat pixelated. This was a really quick 1-week engagement where we went up and worked with a client and they were stuck. And they were, to the point, their customer services group was stuck. And they had this really massive backlog. So they had about 2,000 trouble tickets in their backlog and about 24 people to actually work through them. And so when they looked at their problem, they said, well, how are we going to get through this problem? And they said, we've got this huge mound of issues to get through, this small number of people. Well, I guess we've just got to work faster. So they set up these nice competitive systems where they said, okay, well, you know, whoever pushes through the most tickets in a week wins. And they made these numbers available to everybody to foster competition and to raise the number of tickets that were processed. Well, that's just not the best idea for a customer services group. So I
got what they measured.
It was. I heard that, I was like, oh no. And I said, and somehow we're not having the best of luck. I was like, okay. But like a quick bit of questioning, found out that they were actually at capacity. They were running really well. They were doing 10 tickets a person, so about 250 tickets a day. But they were bringing in 250 tickets a day. So there was never any time, you were working the backlog constantly, but people who were coming into the queue were staying in the backlog, and they were basically being randomly handled. So you had the people who were gaming this from the numbers side, saying, I'm going to grab all the 5-minute tasks, so I can, you know, do 60,000 people today. And then other people who actually gave a damn, they would be taking the tasks that took like 4 hours. So the numbers ended up not meaning anything. There were all of these political battles where everybody was saying, okay, well, I did twice as many tickets as you did today. You must be a lazy bastard. And they were all fighting with each other and watching everybody's numbers. And because basically this thing was painful to everybody in the group. So everybody in the group knew that the backlog was there. And that backlog was causing what we call in personal Kanban existential overhead. So they're saying, oh my God, you know, not only are those tasks there, but all of those tasks represent people, and those people are upset. So everybody was super busy, everybody's working, nobody's doing any cross-training. So experts are starting to develop, which are handling tickets in one specific area. They're hoarding all of those tickets, whether they want to or not. And the group is basically breaking down under its own weight. So they brought us in, and they basically wanted us, they said, you know, we've been doing Agile for a while, we've been doing Kanban for a while. We want answers. We want you to come in and give this quick fix. They wanted us to be heroes. And that didn't work so well for us. And so, you know, I said, you know, to you guys, if I give you a glass of water, is it going to make you, you know, if you're thirsty, I give you a glass of water, is it going to make you less thirsty? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, well, is it going to make you less thirsty forever? I'm like, no. Okay, so you needed to teach them not how to solve the problem that they had, but how to solve the problems that they didn't have yet. And this comes to a concept that's known as Kaizen. And you can't give someone Kaizen, it's like kind of like giving them an epiphany. So somehow we had to figure out a way to give them an epiphany. And in my mind, when we're talking about quality, you know, whether it's QA, QC, or just quality in general, quality has a goal. And that goal is Kaizen, which in the end, is continuous improvement. So it's a cultural change in the organization where everybody takes responsibility for quality. And it kind of sounds like, you know, business nirvana, and how can you possibly get there? And the goal, the end result is more quality. So basically you get quality and everybody's always watching down the road how they can fix processes, how they can make things work better. So in my mind, collaboration is the main path to quality. And it's not the only way to quality, because there's also fascism. And fascism is what we mostly get to work with every day. So people come in and they say, if you do these 5 things, if you do A, B, C, D, and E, you get quality. And the thing that really messes me up is that it works. Fascism totally works for a short period of time. And then what happens is you say, do A, B, C, D, E, quality, A, B, C, D, E, quality, A, B, C, D, E, quality, and it works, and it works, and it works, and then one day it stops working quite as well, and then it works a little less well, and then it works a little less well. But because it was dictated, no one ever has responsibility for saying, you know what, D isn't really necessary anymore. We don't really need to do this anymore. And so I think we've all worked in organizations where we have to do something that doesn't make any sense, and nobody has the power to go in and fix that. So what we wanted to do is give that group the power to fix that by giving them a collaborative system. And so there's some elements that sound like platitudes, but you can very easily do these. So this is, for me, out of all of the things in Agile, this is what I carry with me in my hip pocket. And oddly enough, when I was actually running Agile teams, it's one of the things that I use the least. But with this group, the first thing that we did was we said, okay, you're 24 individuals trying to solve this problem. That's not going to work so well. We divided them into 6 strike teams. The 6 strike teams all were on a first-name basis. They had a visual control. And we started to give them respect for the abilities of the other people in the group. So when this problem comes in, if you're the only person that can solve it, grab somebody else and work on it with them. And we know this is going to slow you down a little bit in the beginning, but over time it's going to speed you up. If you have problems, also do pairing. Still trying to keep this within 10 minutes. The bigger things for me here are assistance and the permission to help. And permission is a big thing for me. In a dictatorial system, people do not have the permission to help their peers. They also don't have insight into what their peers are doing, so they can't actually help them. If you set up a system, which we did for them, where everybody knows the tickets that everybody's working on in real time, then they can start to lend assistance. They can start to say, okay, look, I know you're working on this. I did something similar yesterday. Google these 2 things. It'll save you a couple of hours. Between you and me, that was just like an interpersonal courtesy that would happen every day. But to the company, they just saved 2 hours worth of work. They just saved 25% of your day that you can go off and do something else. Cross-training, which I already spoke to, knowledge sharing, all those things added together create energy. So before, people didn't want to go to work. They're like, we got this massive backlog, it sucks, everybody's calling, they're yelling at us all the time, the backlog is never going down, that's a real drain. So when we set them up, we said, okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up other strike teams that are going to look for patterns in the system, in the trouble tickets that you have, and see how many you can just blow out of the water right now. How many have expired, how many of them can be grouped, how many of them are miscategorized, how many of them have been completed but not marked as complete. In 2 weeks, they were able to get their 1,800 trouble tickets down to less than 1,000. And those trouble tickets had been with them for about 2 or 3 years. That filled everybody with a lot of energy. All of a sudden, they're processing tickets faster than ever because they actually care. So this spawns all of these neat elements. The first one being shared vision. Now everybody actually understands in the group why the group is doing what they're doing, and why they're doing what they're doing, who they're doing it for, and what's going to come out at the end. Again, there's that drive I talked about. They have clarity, which means that they know what they're doing now, task-wise. They know what's coming up on their board, and they know what they've done in the past and how it's gone. Again, they want to come to work, and why do they come to work? Because they actually care about what's being produced. All of these things, to me, comprise capital Q quality, because these things mean that even before, let's say that this was a coding group, because we did also work with a coding group, before the code actually gets to the testers, people have actually looked at it who care now, as opposed to who are just trying to produce code as quickly as possible. That is a lightning talk, and I'm done.